Hello. Welcome to the studio, the go-to podcast for creators and entrepreneurs looking to monetize their content and make money online. I'm Abby.
I'm Nick. We're your hosts. We help creators turn their ideas into a reality by sharing industry insights and bringing on special guests who know the best.
Today, we are talking about overcoming the skeptics. We know that when you're doing something new in life, especially as a creator or you're doing something entrepreneurial, there's always going to be skeptics. A skeptic is a person who refuses to believe in something unless they have evidence. And sometimes, even if there is evidence, they still might not trust you, which is understandable, honestly. Society is so full of information these days that it's hard for people to weed out what's good information and what's not. So naturally, people listen to the sources that they trust. And oftentimes that's someone who has a strong personal brand for themselves, plus their credentials to back them.
Yeah, definitely. Skepticism can come from many people and from a variety of reasons from those people. When it comes to people, they're comfortable seeing you a certain way in a certain light. So it can be different for them, maybe even weird to see you change and step into a different chapter of your life, which may cause that skepticism from people who are just used to seeing something they're not seeing anymore, right? So skepticism can just come from people not intentionally. It just can come naturally based off of their just opinion of what they think you should be, not necessarily to have a factor over how you should be in control-wise, but just you are somebody that has played a certain role and they want to see you continue to play that role possibly. And it might even challenge their views on what they're doing with their time and even can cause that skepticism there. So it could be unintentional, intentional, either way.
Yeah, we've definitely had to experience that in the past, and they're just comfortable seeing you that way. So it puts up that wall, and it's understandable, but you have to not let that hold you back. And it also could be because maybe their definition of success or what life should be is just different than yours. And yeah, they're seeing you move into a certain direction that they didn't see you in before. And now they don't really necessarily agree because they have a different perspective. So they're skeptical about what you're doing because in their mind, it's not the right thing for you to do. But you have to remember, this is your path. And just because people are skeptic doesn't mean that what you're doing is actually wrong.
Right. They just may have not even seen an example of what that looks like. Just like you might not have, but you know what you're worth and what you're intended for, or just somewhere around the framework of what that means. And so that means that people could just be acting from a scarcity mindset because they just didn't know what you're after is possible, even though we see possibly the specific, let's say, niche that you're putting yourself and building into and growing and working with. People have seen the example of success, but people aren't used to seeing the path of success that comes with that. So that example just doesn't exist, like I mentioned before, so they just don't know it's possible.
Yes, and just as a reminder for yourself, you are on a path that not everybody's going to agree with, but all of the reasons for these people's scarcity, for their mindset not aligning with what yours is, all of this does not have anything to do with you or what you should be doing on your path moving forward. People can have skepticism about you, but you have to have that confidence in yourself, because you have to remember, even if you do have an amazing offer, even if you do have all the credentials, all the information and everything backing you, it doesn't mean that the trust is there between you and that person. So that's why in this episode, we're actually going to start breaking down how to build that trust and start canceling out those thoughts of skepticism within your community.
So first off, believe in yourself first. If you don't believe in you, how are other people going to believe in you? You're the first person that has to believe in the mission and invest into it emotionally, financially, overall, altogether, before other people are going to see what you see.
Yes. And when you start believing in you, that's when you need to add added confidence, because you can believe in yourself. But if you have some doubts, maybe try borrowing the confidence of other people around you. Because think about it, when you're talking to your friends, they're always hyping you up. Go to your hype people and say, what do you see in me? Why are you so confident in me? And then listen to those things that they're sharing about you, that they believe in about you, and borrow that confidence. And even if you don't 100% believe it, they believe in you. So borrow their confidence in you and just take it as the truth and move forward with that confidence that people have in you, and keep it in yourself.
Definitely. The confidence may have to be something you have to act into before feeling the feeling of confidence. Sometimes you have to act before the feeling will come, but the feeling will follow if you act regardless. So through the process, insecurities might set in, and you'll take the advantage of possibly setting those aside, which will give you the opportunity to focus on your strengths and the attributes that the people around you who see your potential have just invested and grown into you, so that you can become what they see. I still ask the same question to myself and to Abby. I'm like, and what do other people see in us, and what do we do? Regardless of where you're at on your path, it's good to just keep getting that reflection back. Even if you think you've achieved success in the level of where you want to be, it's good to just get that reflection, because there's still always potential to reach, no matter where you're at on your path.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because as a creator and entrepreneur, you honestly don't have to do the things that you aren't strong in. Like, you get to choose what you do with your time as a business owner. So focusing on your strengths will actually move you forward as a creator and an entrepreneur. So definitely let those insecurities go away and just focus on those strengths. That's so important. And it's awesome thinking about that, because it reminds me of, and then You Are a Badass of Making Money. It's this book. It's incredible if you're thinking about manifesting money for yourself and how to get those negative thoughts about it away. And one of the lessons that she shares in it is, when you act as if it already exists, despite what your current reality is around you, the universe is going to conspire to catch up to your thinking and your thoughts. And it's going to start creating that reality around you, and things are going to start appearing to you because you're acting on your desires rather than what's surrounding you currently. And opportunity is in the eye of the beholder. So she says, when the universe is going to show up for you because you're visually seeing the reality that you want to see around you. So that's going to turn real for you. And she even says the universe shows up, coffee in hand, ready to talk about your finances all the time. Like, it's ready for the meeting. It's just up to you to start that conversation and start visualizing that for yourself.
So I can see with living in that way. We were actually just meeting with a friend last night, and she said that it's important to just continue to keep moving forward despite your situation. And as you do that, it stops you from having the limiting beliefs that can keep you back from what Abby just talked about. And those limiting beliefs are what's not going to allow the universe to conspire with you. So just become confident, and the signs will be presented to you through the universe or through whatever it is that speaks to you that's beyond you. And those signs will be presented to you, and have the confidence that they're there for you and that things are happening for you, and it's not happening to you, but it's a reason it's happening. So it's for your progression in life, whether it feels like a take back or a push forward. It's always going to give you something that will allow you to keep progressing, regardless of the situation, regardless of what's going on.
Yes. So all in all, that first thing that you need to do for yourself to build trust with your audience is believe in yourself and build your confidence in what you're doing. And that's what we want to remind you through all of that. And now the second thing that you need to be focusing on is providing valuable information for your audience. You have to make sure that you're showing that you're knowledgeable in what you're talking about, or that you're passionate about what you're doing. Because how are people going to believe in you if they're not seeing what you're talking about and you're not showcasing your talents, your creativity, and your knowledge? They're not going to know what they don't know, you know? So we used to share all the time about how we were teaching entrepreneurship and all of that, but, you know, our content did not really match yet what we were saying. So people didn't have that belief in what we were doing because we didn't put enough out there yet to show what we were doing. So it sounded more like talk than it was walk. You know, you have to talk the talk and walk the walk. Share what you're doing and show what you're doing as well. And that's going to help people believe in what you're doing because they're actually seeing it in action.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. You got to show the skills that come in the process of your creation, whatever that may be. Showing your skills, like Abby mentioned, showcasing, whether that's just putting a quick video together or a photo or just even writing a quick blurb, but something visual usually gives people the opportunity to see how important it is that you're doing what you're doing because you're actually doing it. Because there's so much fabrication that's outside of people when it comes to their development of their brand or their business. You know, their product or their service may be completely developed by somebody else, and it can't, and maybe, you know, because of this potential thinking that we may have, the credibility is lost if we don't prove it. So through proof of showcasing what you have available to people, whether that's, you know, like I see people creating jewelry, you know, like people creating jewelry online, it's like, oh, okay, now I know that's handmade. You know, if we're talking about what we progress in and what we do, you know, like if we use a comparison, like let's say you have a course, we have a course. You know, we can teach based off of our course to continue by providing skill set and attributes and attitudes to people. Even if they don't work with us, we can still provide that knowledge to them. So taking information that which you're providing at a price, you can still give away for free in bite-sized information. So people can still be like, okay, these are people I want to trust. These are people that I want to work with. These are people that are knowledgeable and that I can still gain and work with because they're providing me such valuable knowledge. You know, it's the same knowledge that you can just already have had created. You don't have to come up with anything new. You can just repackage it and repurpose it and reword it, because people don't always digest the same information that they digested the first time. Maybe they didn't even understand it the first time because it wasn't worded for them, because everybody has a different learning style.
Yeah, that's very, very true. We actually heard something. I think it's like people aren't recognizing it until they saw it 7 times. So definitely that repetition of showing off your skills and what you're doing is going to help build up credibility and help people remember what you're doing. And another way to keep sharing that valuable information is showing your creative process. Show the behind the scenes of what you're doing. People are very curious about how you're doing what you're doing, not just what you're doing. So if you can share the creative process, the behind the scenes, maybe you're popping on the stories and saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. These are the steps that I'm going to take. I'll keep you updated. Or making a behind the scenes reel. And like, for example, we can share us going out to create content, what that looks like behind the scenes, us setting up our camera, picking out our outfits, and then going out and actually doing it. It doesn't have to just be your knowledge and your skills. It also could be the process of what you're doing. And that's actually one of the most valuable things that you can put out there and most entertaining things that you can put out there for people to know what you're doing and get interested about it too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And then once you've gone through all that, you've gone through all the behind the scenes work, showing people what you can bring to the table and just how you package it. Now it's time to show off your final product, whatever that may be, your offer or just the outcome of that specific creation that you created just to give that piece of content. So just whatever the outcome of that you're doing that day or overall in general as a brand or a business. But just make sure that while you're showing A to C, that you show D as well, which would be the end product.
Yes, absolutely. You can't just share your work. You have to pitch your work too. Like, you show your final product, be proud of it. Don't be afraid to try to monetize it, and just do what you need to do to turn your brand profitable. And that takes showing off the behind the scenes, the knowledge that you have, and your final product, and making that an offer. And then now the next thing that you need to step into, the third thing to cancel out skepticism, is share your process of growth internally as well. No one trusts perfection. Nobody believes that everything is just perfect. Everybody is starting to realize that social media and your presence online is a highlight reel. And that's actually driving people away from that trust. And it breeds more skepticism because they're not feeling like it's authentic or real. They don't want to see perfect. They want to know what actually your struggles are. And if you're sharing the struggles, the setbacks, and the imperfections that everyone experiences, that's going to create that emotional connection between you and your community. Yes, you have knowledge, but if there's not an emotional trust, then there's nothing to be had there. So don't try to just be perfect. Share your authentic self, because nobody's going to trust that picture perfect product or brand that you're putting together unless there's authenticity thread throughout it.
Right. I would say in the past that may have worked, but just where we're at right now and what people are looking at, it's just created this, a lot of people say toxic culture, positive toxicity, because it's like everybody can have it, everybody can achieve it, everybody can do this. And it's really the point. Fact is that it takes work and it takes effort. And so that through that process, people want to see the growth that you started, and you started, whether you were knowledgeable or not, you started somewhere. And seeing where you're at now is so important, because like Abby mentioned, the perfectionism is what's getting highlighted, because we do want to showcase our best selves so that we're seeing the life that we see ourselves. I mean, some people, they think of it a little bit abstract from what I'm talking about, but aside from the point of looking at it from how you want to present yourself online, it can create for some people, oh, I could never do that, right? So it's important for you to share your process of growth, because I mean, from my perspective, I don't think that we're anything special. I think that, we're ordinary, but we choose to put the extra on the front end of it to become extraordinary in what we do because of the progression of choice of what we want to be doing with our life in the future and what that takes right now. And what that means truthfully in the day and age that we live in right now is to share that process online with people, to show them that just about anything that you want to apply yourself to is definitely possible. It doesn't mean that you have to have the education behind it to back it. It just means that you have to be willing to learn and willing to put the consistency in there to gain that education, to become an expert in it, whatever it is that you may be, and then continue to put that process out in the world and spread it around. So through the process of showing your growth online, showing where you're at in the beginning and right now is just so important, because like Abby mentioned, the perfectionism side of it isn't something that was shown of the struggle. Now the struggle is shown and it's becoming normalized, and people appreciate that. So it's just something to keep in mind when it comes to progressing with yourself and through your brand, because it's going to create a pull for the people that are with you. They'll get emotionally tied in. When people are emotionally tied in, they feel like they know you. And that's so important, because then you'll be able to have a real community around you that talks to you, and they become more than, let's say, fans. They become friends, whether you've met them or not.
Yes, absolutely. And that's exactly what you're looking for as a creator and as a human being in general. You want people who are there supporting you. So be transparent and let people see the nitty gritty, the behind the scenes, and your process of growth and overcoming as you continue on your creative entrepreneurial journey. So the next thing that we want to make sure that you do to overcome the skepticism between people is maintain good connections with the people who are supporting you. There are people who already support you right now, and because of that, building that trust, continued trust with them, and making sure that you are always there to have them as that foundation. But now when you start getting these new relationships coming in, you have to make sure that you're maintaining the relationships with the new people who are supporting you too, because that's what's going to create that tight-knit community. It's going to create those people who have been with you from the start supporting you. And if you're being reciprocal about that and supporting them back and speaking with them and going back and forth with them, that's what's going to create that community of people who actually trust what you're doing and actually support what you're doing too.
Yeah. I can say honestly, if you continue working with the people that have already been talking to you, and not even if you're consistently just chatting with them, but just recognizing that they're a part of your community still, if they reach out, or even reposting wise, and just continue to spread, those people are the ones who are going to make your marketing super easy through word of mouth, because they'll talk positively and highly of you without any encouragement from you, because they already like you. They already are, a fanatic about what you're doing, because I mean, we're humans creating in this world, and people get super excited and attached to things, and they are talking about it naturally. So that's the best type of marketing that we can achieve organically, but through having a community of people that would just want to talk to you naturally and talk about you naturally. I mean, that's totally something that you didn't even ask for, and they're just doing that because they want to. You've built that community with people.
Yes. And then now you have people word of mouth marketing about you, and you can ask these people for reviews or for feedback or for their personal story of how you've impacted their life. And this is something that you can leverage to build trust with the rest of your community. So sharing these reviews, sharing these stories, and sharing these feedbacks, this is what's going to help you really build trust, because now there's case studies. There's actual proof from people who are not just you that you're successful at what you do. So share those reviews with people, and that's going to help cancel out the skepticism that people could naturally have. And it's very hard to be skeptical when other people are backing you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And through those people backing you, you'll have the community of which I mentioned before, but it'll just become a tighter and tighter community, which through skepticism will then become just weeded out. And you won't even, if you are experiencing skepticism later on after you've built such a tight community, overall skepticism has nothing to do with you in the first place. But at that point, once you know that you achieve what you have, and through the community that you've built, once you've already started that and you've already achieved it, the skepticism that comes with it is literally nothing but, something that can be wiped off, because it has nowhere to stand anymore. You've already laid the foundational work that would totally eliminate any skepticism from your community, which is important, because now those people are what's representing you. I just through saying that, I mean, I have an art piece hanging on the wall in front of me, and it creates a community through, we see a triangle as one of the strongest shapes, right? And people build you up into the point to where you're at the top here, and everybody below that is just a part of your community and helps you get to the point to where you can shine your light and totally, eliminate skepticism overall within your community. And anybody that comes along through the current path just won't even stay around, just because it doesn't even align with what you're doing.
Yes. And something important about that is even the people who don't align with what you're doing, and even the people who don't support what you're doing, these people can still teach you something. Even if they are skepticals, you can actually filter what they're saying to you. And if you find any validity in what they're saying, or any gaps that they were able to point out, that's something that you can learn from and use to your benefit. So yes, maintain those good relationships, but even the relationships that weren't that positive can still be beneficial to you. So let the skeptics be skeptical, but this is going to be what helps you become more solid in what you're doing, because you can close those gaps that cause the skepticism in the first place.
Yeah. Overall consistency is going to be key. It's going to be the thing that's going to not only build your brand and your business and your overall traction and momentum, but it's going to build trust with your community. It means that you're constantly showing up regardless of what's going on, even though that's extremely tough to do, is to show up every day. You know, the people that do it, it stands out. It makes a difference. And if you continue to do it, the people that you work around and that you're with within your community will definitely let you know. Definitely let you know they see the work that you're doing. Somebody will, at least one person will.
Yes, show up for yourself, show up for others, and just start loving the process of being consistent for yourself. Because if you think about it, this is you getting to do what you love to do. So fall in love with that process of being creative, coming up with new ideas, sharing it with other people, and show up for not just others, but show up for yourself and your idea and what you decided is right for you.
Yep. And then naturally through that, things will just follow and happen because of the momentum that you created through that consistency.
Yeah. And this is going to be what builds subconsciously in your audience mind. And this is what's going to make your brand memorable. And it's going to be hard to think about you without associating what you're doing and what you're working on. This is exactly what you're looking for. These 5 tips that create this trust and cancel out skepticism. You have to believe in yourself. You have to keep giving valuable information. You have to share the process of growth, maintain relationships with the people who are supporting you, and continue to constantly be consistent and showing up for yourself.
So overall, people in the grand scheme of your journey are going to try to tell you what to do. Intentionally or unintentionally, people have an opinion that they want to share, just like what we shared back in the beginning of our podcast. We talked about the skepticism may come naturally, but unintentionally. And so these opinions from skepticism can naturally sway the way that you're thinking about what you want to do, just because this may come from an opinion of somebody that you may trust and love. And through that, we take opinions from people who we trust and love because we believe they have our best interests at heart. Sometimes it's important to remember that you know what's best for you. You know what you want to achieve and what you want to do. And if you never shoot for those goals, you never take a shot at just taking the risk of jumping for it, you'll never be able to find out. And you can't afford to let them know that you never really went for it, because their opinions, they don't pay your bills. You know, and your opinions are the ones that are going to pay your bills with the choices that you make and what you think is best for you.
Yes. You can't afford people to steal your dream. You can't let people who don't believe in your path determine what's going to happen for your future. And you have to learn to let your positivity about what you're doing and the confidence in who you are overwhelm that skepticism and negativity coming from other people. It does not matter what their opinions are. What matters is what you decide is right for you and right for your life and how you want to live. That's what matters in the end.
Yeah, and the craziest part is it's the people that love us the most that give us these unintentional skeptical opinions that may potentially sway us away from what we want to be doing with our life. In the end, when you get to where you want to, of the level of success where they can finally see it, because sometimes you're the only one that can see it until you finally get to a point to where it's more recognizable for people to actually realize, oh, this is what they're doing. This is how they're making it. This is how they're achieving it. When you get to that point, there's a good chance that they're not even going to remember that they gave you that skepticism, that they gave you that negativity, because it could be unintentional. It's important to remember that you still love them and that it comes from a place of love and not always heinous type of thinking that they want to see you fail. They just never had the example of what it looked like to move forward. So in the end, they could just say, I always knew you'd make it. You know, I'm there for you. I was always there for you. And that's 100% true. But sometimes just because of their limiting beliefs, they reflect that onto other people unintentionally.
Yes, you can't control what people are saying to you and the way people act towards you. But what you can do is control the way that you react. So you can react with positivity. You can react with unfiltered belief in yourself and just keep on moving forward. That's what you can control.
Yep. In the end, just remember to be yourself, because your brain is telling you that people are going to judge you, but in reality, everybody is experiencing the same nervous thoughts, the same uncertainty, and you can't control people's perception of you, but you can control your actions based off of the perception of which you may receive, whether asked for or not.
Yes, your passions are meant for you to explore. You're here on this earth to live out your wildest dreams, to do what makes you happy, not just what makes you money. You're here to realize how to bring your authentic self into this world, and that's what makes life worth living. Keep going on your path. You know what's right for you, so don't let anybody's doubt or skepticism persuade you or make you believe otherwise. Stick strong to what you believe in, stay consistent, sharing about what you're doing, and make sure that you enjoy the journey and share that journey with others. That's what's going to build trust. That's what's going to eliminate all doubt, and that's what's going to cancel out the skeptics. Be confident in the signs being presented to you. Be confident that these are all here for a reason, and this is it for you. This is your journey. So that's all for this session on the studio. We'll see you next time.